What's up, everyone? I have a couple announcements to start out today's session. I haven't been on in about a week or so, which means I haven't given out a discount code in a week, which is RB124, 20% off anything in my store. You know I do that on the live streams here because I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's for the next day. Also, my dear friend Aiden Essen, who's the greatest improviser that I've ever known, is playing tomorrow in London. And I told him I would announce his gig. He's playing at a place called B-A-L-A-B-A-M, Balabum. It's at 58-60 High Road in Tottenham. It's in London. And you can find it if you go to his Facebook page. You can find it. It's A Night with Aiden Essen, it says. Tomorrow night in London, 9:00 p.m. Okay. I want to talk about fingerings here. And the thing about fingerings that's so important is that certain types of ideas are played with the most reliable. Thank you, Matthew, for putting that in there. Are played trying to find the most reliable fingerings is probably the most important thing you can do on any instrument. If I'm playing the piano, if I'm playing my bass, playing my guitar, not really drums, but I guess the best sticking for drums, right? And I was going through, if you go to my Beato book, those of you get the discount, RB124, page 276, just starts with triads. Now, what I just did there when I just started the video is I was playing neighbor tones based off these triads. I did G major. Okay, so you'll notice I'm changing positions here. So the idea is to know, I always say at the note, above the note, below the note are how you should learn things on your instrument. If you're on piano, let's say you're playing something like a D major arpeggio. Okay, D major has one black note in it. So if you arpeggiate it up and you're playing D, F sharp, A, and then you start on F sharp, A, D. Okay, you could play, if you're going up just each note, you could go to F sharp on your thumb, which you wouldn't typically do. Depending on what you're playing, whatever line you're playing on the piano, you have to adapt your fingering. It's the same thing on the guitar. It's the same thing on most instruments. So, on the oboe, there's different ways that you play E flat depending on what the line is. If it's a fast passage, you'll use a particular fingering that you wouldn't use in a slow passage because particular fingering will be out of tune. So let's just talk about the guitar here. So if I take major triads, I like to start with them because they're some of the hardest things to finger because they have perfect fourth intervals in them. And perfect fourths are the hardest thing to do on the guitar for the most part. They're the hardest intervals because of the string crossing. So if I take a G major triad here at the 3rd fret, think about your G major chord here, or this G major bar chord. So here I play 2, 1, then I go to my 3rd finger, then I come under with the pinky. And to me, that is the most reliable fingering. It's more reliable than... Now you say, well, that sounds okay. But this is really, I think, to get the articulation between them. Adam Granger, you were told by Amy Nolte that pianists don't think in terms of fingerings. Okay. I love you, Amy, but come on. How did you learn how to play? How did you learn how to play your scales? You learned with your fingerings. So the perfect fourth on the guitar is really the conundrum of whether you bar or not. Some of it depends on how thick your fingers are, how fat your fingers are, if you can do a roll, if you're going across. If I'm going from the A string to the D string, I would roll my third finger across, or I can simply go 3, 4. When I came down this arpeggio here, this inversion, I went to my fourth finger there. Why? Because I come across this way. Because I like to think in these chord shapes. To me, it's cleaner. If I'm coming down this arpeggio here, I've got these three crossings in a row, right? I could finger 2, 1, 1. I could finger 3, 2, 1, which I like. So right there, I'm going 4, 1, and then I'm going 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2. I think that's the cleanest fingering on the guitar there, when you can avoid fingering perfect fourths by barring. Then what that happens, what's up, Mike? China Guitar Skeptic, what's happening? So I like to finger out of chord shapes. I think that it's I like to think that chord shapes, because we're used to playing them, you get a lot more control when you finger each note separately. Okay? Now, the index finger is a different animal here. Now here I did a fingering of this D major triad. And I used the fourth finger to bar there. I can do the same thing. And I can do it finger like that. Okay, so I did that time where I used this chord shape out of here. This E, what you would think of as E major chord shape out of here. Now to me, if I'm doing an arpeggio in thirds like that, I will probably bar. Because that's the most logical, but I could come back like that. Once again, it depends on how your fingers fit in there. But these, when you start getting into things like suspended arpeggios, that's where it starts getting really tricky, that have a lot of string crossings like that. If I play, these are the hardest things to play. So if I'm playing a D sus4 arpeggio, okay, so what I'm doing, I play 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4. Now here I didn't go here. Very unreliable fingering there. And if I go like this, if I do, I think it's really unreliable to do that whole step between these two fingers. Mike, you assume the fingering position is vital for things like sweep picking patterns. You really only be playing cleanly one way. You You can play the things with, you know, it really depends. I think that there's, I think you have more control when you actually have a finger down on each note, not when you're sharing a finger across. When you're going across there, I think that it's more difficult to do that. Vincent says, how do I arpeggiate an A major 9? That's easy. Okay, so another thing to do in order to learn where these notes are, one of the things I was doing is to use leading tones, and this is really good practice. Just take 2 fingers and start to outline the chords, because it's going to show you where those shapes are, okay? Because I'm thinking in these shapes here. So I go here, G major there, 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 okay? So I'm going to do this. Okay, so I use this shape. I use this shape. I use this shape. And I use this shape. Except I didn't do the B up there. Okay? Do the same thing with E minor. Start with the first available note. So right there, I'm thinking this shape there, that shape there, that shape there, that shape there. Okay, those are all my E minor shapes. Here, here, right out of the chord shapes. This chord shape you probably don't use as much here. Once again, this E minor chord shape here, I'm playing, starting, here's E, G, and then I do my bar here. Let's see here. So there's my E minor chord shape there. This is like the trolley stream here. I think that this actually comes in really handy if you're playing arpeggios down in thirds like that. You can see that I'm avoiding those. I'm avoiding any of those bars. And I'm constantly shifting here. Same thing here. These are hard to do, but it will make your fingerings more accurate, I think. Okay? It'll also enable you to shift between positions. Let me give you the discount code again. Discount code is RB124. Today's the 4th of December. RB124 is the discount code. 20% off anything in my store. That's how I make my living. You guys want to support the channel? Sign up for the Beato Club or pick up my book, buy one of the mugs. You'll learn all this stuff. Connecting the positions then is, this is interesting because Jared just said, am I using the cage system to visualize these arpeggios? You know, I never really talk about the cage system. I just think about the different triads where they are here. Okay, so I'm covering the neck here in these different triad formations. But there's other in-between ones here, like this. Okay, and you really need to be able to move freely between them. So if I'm doing G add 9, so I'm using this. Sorry. And that's a great, that's a beautiful G add 9. A beautiful G add 9 arpeggio there. Same thing with the E minor. There's my E minor 9. Now here, there's no good way of playing that. You have to do the bend, the bar. Okay, that'd be E minor add 9 there, right? So those add 9s are great, and then the Lydian. There's your Lydian sound, right? There's your add 9. Lydian. There's my G Lydian sound there, right? This kind of a sound. Now that sounds cool if I were to do. Let me actually put on my little freeze pedal here and play E minor and play that G Lydian. If I played E minor 11, it would probably be cooler if I did this. It's beautiful sound there, right? The E minor. It says the E minor 9. Actually, let me play my chord a little bit softer here. Hold on. So I've got E minor, but I'm thinking like D add 9. So if I play E minor add 9. And then D add 9, it sounds killer together. That's E minor add 9. And then D. So I'm going between E minor add 9 and D major add 9. love that sound. Hard to play those things though. Always the good stuff is hard to play. What's the chord under the 2? I was just playing E minor under that. Just 40 years of practice and you're done. How long did it take me to master the triads up and down the neck? You know, I tell you, there's an exercise that I did that helped me. It's in my book. It's a cycle. It's what I call the circle of fifths exercise that I did that helped me understand not only where all the different triad fragments are, but how they resolve by using dominant 7th chords. So take a progression like this. And then I did this, so like A major or A7. So I did A major, A7, I'm sorry, to D7, to G7, to C7, F7, B flat 7, hard to do, okay? By doing this, I learned where every so that is in my book there. That's cycle of fifths exercise. And does sound like classical Akbar. That's basically because it's all dominant. It's all dominant 7th chords resolving. It's all 5-1 cadences. Also like this. All these things here. Now, I can just do them now because I know the sound and where they go. It sounds cool because you hear all those modulations. A7, D7, G7, A7, D7, E7. Great exercise. There are much harder exercises. They're much harder everything. But this. All these kind of resolutions like that, all these lines that sound like they're going somewhere. Like that. That's G major. D major. That's A major, E major, B major. So those are, I mean, to me, those are the best ways to practicing these studies like that are the best ways to learn your guitar and learn where all these things are. You know, you can play on sets of strings. You can play, I can play D major, D major, D major. You can play that. All right, so I'm going between each set of 3 strings, right? If I go D major here, and then I say, okay, where's the next one? Right there, right there. How about here? And to shift between the positions becomes a lot easier. Okay, I can't really stress that enough, because if you're, this will improve your relative pitch. It sort of improves everything. Let's see, Maynard says, are you thinking intervals or notes as I play? You know, am I thinking about theory while I'm playing? No, I hear where the notes are going. I don't really need to think about the theory. I think about theory only when I'm trying to demonstrate something on purpose, like when I was doing, but I'm really not doing that either. Keola, thank you for putting page 346 as that cycle of fifths exercise. When I'm trying to do something, like when I was doing the E minor thing, right, and I did that. E minor add 9 arpeggio, right? And then D add 9. I could use A major too. G major. I'm really thinking triadically right there. It's kind of the way that that Larry Carlton would talk about. So you got E minor chord there, right? And I got G major. I'll do a G add 9. Whoops. D major. Add 9. E minor. Add 9. So E minor, add 9. So I did E minor, add 9. D major. G major. E7 sus4 can you use? Jerry asked that. Yes, E7 sus4. Totally can use that. E7 sus4 on there. You can use A7 on it. Gives you that minor 6/9, E minor 6/9 kind of a sound. I love that sound. But that I love that too. That's a great. I'm using like a D major. Love that. But I'm using a D sus4 with the third, right? Jacob says, Rick, is it just a matter of really drilling the sounds of the chords in your ear to the instrument being exactly? That's pretty much it, really. I love that, though. I love that sustaining chord there. Whoops. David Gilmour does those all the time. He loves that nine. It's hard to finger that there. Love that. I love all those sounds there. Eric Johnson, like, yeah, those when you do those groupings like that. Anytime you do those 5s or 6 groupings like that, they give you that sound of that of Eric Johnson there. He loves those different groupings. By the way, on my Beato.com, you can send the Beato book as a gift now, as of today. There's a way to do it. Just go to my website and you can send. If you want to give a gift of my book to somebody, send the PDF to someone. You can buy it on there and gift it to someone. So, do I use classical finger picking technique? Chris asks. Yes, I do. I mean, really. That's how I finger pick. So that's how I've always finger picked. Always finger pick that way. Unless I'm muting or something, then I don't. But if I'm doing any type of pattern, I use more of a classical finger picking style. Could you use E minor with E flat major? You could, but it would sound weird. Just have to resolve it right. John, you have 3 Les Pauls. Let me tell you, they're a bit heavy to hold after a couple hours. I guess if you are actually wearing a strap, it's tough. That's why most people change from Les Pauls to Strats later on. Do I know the Villalobos pattern? Of course. I knew that when I was 17 years old. Think about what you hear in your head and just practice trying to play it. That's how I broke from that. Madison. What did Madison ask? Let's see here. Morgan says, you don't need a freeze pedal, just a looper. Play a chord and click it on. That's right. Exactly the same thing. Morgan is correct. I mean, so many pedals do that now. Adam, you just got a freeze pedal? There you go. Tips on transcribing Scrapple from the Apple. Just transcribe it. I can't even remember Scrapple. It's in G minor, right? Is that right? I can't remember it now. Tips on mastering the Villalobos fingering pattern. Honestly, Rudis, the tip is to you got to have nails for that. It's almost impossible to do the A finger, your ring finger. I find you can't really do it without nails, and you can't get it fast without nails, really. That's the thing. You know, that's a big thing with finger picking is having nails. I think it's really helpful. Do I use capos? If not, why? I use capos all the time. How do I get on with a flying V? I don't like flying Vs. When's the Jeff Buckley What Makes a Song Great video dropping? You know, so I had, I couldn't find my transcription stuff that I had of it, but I found it. So now I can do it, actually. Tips on mastering Donna Lee. Great question, Chef Daniel. So Donna Lee is a jazz tune by Charlie Parker. I learned that. That's like one of the first jazz tunes I learned. If you take the opening phrase, it's hard to play. Let's see. I'm thinking of it. Okay, so right here, the starting like here or here. I like it here because it has this. I like the slides. Totally different. Same notes. I did it here, here, here. Yeah. Man, it's hard. You got to figure out all those different ways. You got to know how to play it everywhere. That is how you get to learn the guitar really well, right? I don't like tuners on headstocks. Somebody said that. Yes. So I have a tuner here. So I was doing this. I did a master class at Vanderbilt yesterday, University in Nashville. So the guitar player takes his headstock tuner out, starts tuning up, and I said, he had it on. He took it out of his case. He had it on there. I said, "You're not going to leave that on there?" And he said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Lesson 1 in the master class. No headstock tuners left on the guitar. You put it back on your amp." He said, "Oh, okay." He did do this tricky thing, right? He did this. This was actually better. This. Now that looks bad too because it's covering the Gibson. It's just, oh, that's just so not cool. But it does hide it a little better. Still don't like it. The other problem is that these snarks to me are not accurate. I don't think they're accurate. Sorry, snark. I don't think they're as accurate as my Polytune. No way. Or my my Peterson tuner. They just don't. I don't trust those. When we were tracking, we would never use. Making records, we would never use those. If I had 5 minutes to teach a beginner theory lesson on guitar, what would I start with? Well, it's hard to learn theory on the guitar. It's hard to. You need to learn how to play something before you start with theory because it's just. Yes, it's tacky, Trey. That's right. Tacky. Thank you. That's a good word. Smash it, trolls. Exactly, right? All right. Listen, so Beato book discount or Beato, anything on my website, the discount is RB124. That's how I make my living. Or you can support me through the Beato Club, which is also on there. My friend Aiden is playing a gig. Aiden Essen, who's the greatest improviser in the world, in London tomorrow night. I mean, he's literally the greatest improviser that I in my lifetime. He's playing at this place called. Don't tell me I just lost it here. Balabam, Balabam. It's in 5860 High Road, Tottenham, London. I told Aiden I would announce it. He's playing at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. If you guys are around, you should go see it because Aiden is the greatest improviser in the world. All right, so you guys are the best. China Mike, what's up, man? Let's talk. Call me. I'm around right after this. Let's catch up. You guys are the best. Thank you. I got some cool things coming up here. I'm going to PRS to interview Paul Reed Smith in a couple weeks. That's going to be fun. I'm not sure if I'll do a live stream from there, but it's gonna be great. All right.